A few weeks ago, I took my car in for service, and I had two questions about what it might need, the kind of thing you could ask a service advisor about in 2 minutes and be done. So I called, and the first thing I got was an AI voice agent. Now, it almost sounded like a real person. Almost. Pauses ran to be too long, some answers had nothing to do with what I asked, and it mispronounced things nobody on that job would. I eventually escaped that loop into option two, but that ended up being an overseas call center. Nice people, but no way to reach an advisor or get my questions answered. Do you know how I finally got my answer? I had to drive to the dealership and stand in front of an actual human being. Not the most convenient, not what I was looking for. Now, every tier of that system existed to keep me away from the one person that could help. The AI wasn't the failure, it was doing exactly what it was designed to do, which was absorb calls. Nobody designed a path to actually answer the question, however. That's not one bad dealership. That's the default pattern right now, and it's what happens when you start with, we should use AI instead of what are the customer's actual needs. So here's what got lost. Think about it. Why do we build custom software? To automate the bottleneck, save time, and make a miserable job less miserable. That was the job before AI, and it's still the job now. AI changed what's possible, not what you're trying to accomplish. And that brings me to your actual advantage. Your customers think AI is magic, but you know it's a probability engine just predicting the next token. Astonishing at some jobs and structurally bad at others. That's not cynicism, that's just literacy. Every tool is a shape, and knowing where that shape fits is your job. And this isn't theoretical anymore. In May, a company called Cinch surveyed over 2,500 decision makers across 10 countries. Of the enterprises running live AI customer agents, 74% of them had already rolled one back or shut it down. And here's the counterintuitive part. Among teams with the most mature guardrails, the rollback rate was even higher, at 81%. The best monitored teams rolled back more. Since they could see failures, everybody else just blindly shipped and then ignored the results. Now, on the demand side, Gartner's found that about half of U.S. consumers prefer to buy from brands that don't use generative AI in customer-facing work at all. They are not neutral about it. Like me, they prefer to actively avoid it. Now, 2 years ago, seeing language like AI powered in a product experience may have meant innovation, but these days, if not used appropriately, it can really mean significant liability. Let's take a look at the most common places where using AI in your product experience can actually make things worse. 1. Non-determinism where reproducibility is required. I build fintech software, which means building for people that work in that world like accountants, who need the same input to produce the same output every time. Thinking Machines Lab ran the same prompt 1,000 times at temperature zero and got 80 different completions. That is a major liability no accounting firm would ever touch. 2. The trust tax. Half your market may prefer you just didn't. Invisible in your analytics since the people it drives off never tell you. They just don't convert. They just bail. 3. The liability. Apple suspended its AI news summaries after it generated false headlines. Meta pulled an Instagram image feature days after launch. Neither lacks resources, both walked it back publicly. 4. The bloat cost. Maintenance, docs, onboarding, the inference bill. Forever for a feature that may be working against you. And none of these are a result of the model not being smart enough. Every one of them is just a fit problem, and creating the right fit is something that you need to own always. One distinction from my car service story worth making explicit. Every AI deployment optimizes for one of two things. Deflection is how many contexts you kept away from a human, a cost metric, and it goes up when people give up. Resolution is how many people got what they came for, an outcome metric, and it doesn't care which tier delivered it. Those look similar on a dashboard for about a quarter, but then they start to diverge hard, since a deflected customer isn't a solved customer. They're a customer who's annoyed and still has the problem. My dealership had a great deflection rate that day, and the resolution rate, unfortunately, was 0. So if you're considering using AI in this way, customer service, every path needs an exit that leads to a real solution for your customer. If you can't do that, you're adding a liability to your product experience. Just yesterday, I was shopping for a new trash can on Amazon and figured I'd give their AI agent a shot, so I asked it a few questions. And not only did I get different answers to repeat questions, I was able to talk the agent into different answers. Not ideal, but definitely hilarious. In fact, I encourage you to try this out for yourself so you can see how bad it can be. Here's a framework you can follow to make this a bit easier. Any feature has 4 options, and most of the founders I coach are realistically only looking at mostly one of them. Option 1, Runtime AI. The model runs when your customer clicks. It's helpful when variance is acceptable or valuable. Drafting, summarizing, extracting from messy documents, classifying. Messy input, a human reviews the output. Slightly different each time is fine or even better. Option 2, the extension layer. This is the one people mostly miss. and it's the if you can't beat 'em, join 'em movement. Sometimes AI is genuinely the best fit, but every customer wants it tuned to their own process and isn't core to your value proposition, at least yet. Building that into your product experience early on means potential liability early in your go-to-market process. So instead, don't build it, but expose it. Give them a clean API or MCP server and show them how to wire it up with the AI tools they already have. They experiment on their terms and you don't have to maintain it. Plus, their workflows run through your product instead of around it. Then you can watch and observe. If customers converge on the same pattern, it standardizes itself and you have a pre-validated feature to absorb into your platform. If they don't converge, you dodged a feature that was never going to work as a fixed product capability anyway. Option 3, build time AI. The model never touches your customer. You use AI to write the deterministic software that solves their problem and ship plain testable code. Same input, same output forever. Nobody has to trust a model at runtime since there isn't one. This is the old school way, but leveraging AI to build it speeds the process up considerably, so that's still a big win. Option 4, no AI. A form, a query, a rule, correct far more often than the current discourse suggests and completely legitimate. As they say, it's garbage in, then it's garbage out. Know when to avoid that trap. Here's a 5-question test for every feature on your roadmap to know which category is correct for each. 1. Does the same input have to produce the same output? If yes, it's just custom predictable code, which can be written by AI, but AI never makes the decisions here. 2. Does somebody sign their name to this or carry the consequences if it's incorrect? If yes, AI can draft it, but a human owns it. The system never decides alone. 3. Would your customer be annoyed to learn that AI did this? If yes, either don't or be upfront, since finding out later is worse. This is where you experiment with the balance of human versus AI. The results are ultimate determining factor with where it winds up in the end. 4. Is variance actually useful here? If yes, you're looking at a genuine runtime AI fit. Build it and observe. This is the category where you can add new and improved value for your customer. 5. Is this core to your value? And does every customer want it the same way? If either is no, expose it instead of embedding it, and absorb it later if it standardizes. Option 2, extending with AI, is underutilized. And option 3, building custom code with AI, is severely underrated still and often overlooked. Extending with AI makes pretty much anything possible. Use it to test an experiment. Think of it as a way to test out cool ideas you or your customers come up with that you aren't quite sure about how well they'd work in the wild yet. And building with AI is still where most of your value is today. You can build anything and everything that works well and fast, so just build a better mousetrap and do it faster than ever with AI. This use case, while revolutionary, is also often overlooked because of the point of this video. Everyone is falling into this trap over and over again of overutilizing AI where it either isn't a fit or actively making the experience worse. Looking your way, dealerships and Amazon. Custom software used to be too expensive to build for narrow problems, so instead everybody bought general purpose tools and then tried to bend their process around them to fairly predictable results. But now the economics work. The winning move in a lot of markets isn't AI-powered software. It's AI-built software that behaves exactly the same way every single time. Here's the playbook framework I start with when I'm building something custom for my private coaching clients, and you can get value out of this too. 1. Write the objective at the top of your roadmap. Which bottleneck and how much time saved. Every feature gets measured against that, not against how heavily you're using AI to solve it. Avoid that trap. 2. Run every feature through the 5-question test before it gets built. That will help you figure out when you should or should not leverage AI. 3. Default everything else to build time AI. If AI can write deterministic version, that's almost always the better product experience. 4. Anything customers want customized and that isn't core to you, expose through an API or MCP server instead of building it. Absorb it later if it standardizes. 5. Where you do ship runtime AI, build a fail-safe into the experience to make sure your customer can get off the ride if they start to feel themselves getting sick of the experience, that is. 6. Stop leading with AI powered. Remember, that's the way the food gets made, and for the most part, no one cares. What they really care about is how well you actually solve their problem. Is it faster, better, cheaper? Lead with those details instead, the real outcome they actually want. Step 1 is the most common place where people get stuck, since finding the top problem in your market is harder than it sounds. And that's what my free problem finder does for you. Use it to find real problems in your market to focus on solving first. And if you want my help improving your product roadmap with strategies like these, I take on a small number of founders for private one-on-one coaching. You can find links to both in the description below and also at bootstrappersparadise.com. Nobody at that dealership set out to make my day worse. They installed a semi-capable tool where it couldn't do the real job, and it never designed what happens if the customer gets stuck in a doom loop. Don't do that to your customers. They think it's magic, you know it's a tool. Use it like one. In my next video, I want to give you my playbook for selling SaaS in the AI era, so subscribe if you don't want to miss out.